Hey, it's Dashia D.
It's JStan.
Welcome back to In Retrospect Podcast. We look beyond the surface to find understanding.
Bring you laughs, knowledge, and culture.
So sit back, relax, and join the convo. Today we have a very special guest.
What's up, everybody? My name is Kendall. You call me Mr. K. That's what everybody calls me. Pretty much work in education, um, as well as I work events like the games and all this stuff. I teach kids. I work with uh, CD kids through fifth grade, pretty much every day, Monday through Friday, sometimes Saturday, Sunday too. It's a nonstop job. But how you guys doing today?
Doing good. We appreciate you coming on. We fully do understand that working with kids is no easy task at all. So definitely, we appreciate you coming on because we know that can be draining, of course. But like you said, it sounds like a job that has a lot of requirements to be met. But of course, you'll rise to the challenge and help the kids as well as the community. So once more, we appreciate you coming on.
It's not a problem at all. Glad to be here.
Now, for those of you listening and watching, we did not all work the same summer, right? We didn't. I know me and Kendall did, and me and Justin did separately, but we all worked at some point. Because I was thinking, I really thought about this now. So we all have worked for a nonprofit where we all were teaching during the summertime at a literacy camp called Freedom School, which is a nationwide program. A lot of people don't really know what it is, even though it exists across across the country. So, what led you to education beyond summer Freedom School?
Pretty much once I started working with kids while I was in college. And when I was working with the kids, I found that for one, it made me a happier person, and for two, I also saw that I brought joy to the kids, and as well as that they would listen to me because the kids I work with, they look like me, and then so they know that pretty much whatever I'm telling them, that is pretty much the right thing to do because there's no such thing as the right thing to do. But they followed me. It made me happy. And yeah, I pretty much stuck with it. That's pretty much what led me teaching. It was the happiest thing I ever did while working, and it was making an impact. I like seeing the smiles on the faces. I see plenty of kids that I taught walking around throughout the city. They come up to me, tell me that they remember me, they looked up to me. That's always a good feeling. And then they're doing good things, going to college, graduate college, getting the big bucks and all that type of stuff. So pretty much the joy is what led me to great teaching and to stay teaching.
Yeah, I'll say too, like when we used to work with those kids from said, summer program or whatever program we all, work together with at one point or another, like seeing these kids now, like this was years ago. So like you can only imagine how some of these kids look now after years. Some of them all of a sudden put on a little muscle,
Right.
start smelling their grown person, to say the least. Like they're like pushing full blown adults or they are full blown adults now. So it's completely different. Like I saw some kids from years ago, and I believe I was in Target. I did double take. I was like, "What in the world?" And they started talking to me like it was a regular day. I'm like, "Nah, this ain't regular. You do not look the same." So it's like it's very rewarding, like you said, just seeing that progress that they've made in their lives and decisions that they're making that that in some form or fashion that you may have influenced and not know you influenced. So that's always rewarding for sure.
And I guess similar to y'all, so I work for the school district in Atlanta, but I'm not a teacher. I'm a school social worker. And based on our experiences in the summertime and in the school year of teaching, I knew that teaching was not for me long term. Not that I wasn't good at it. I just knew that that was draining in a sense, being a teacher, but I still wanted to be with kids and be a mentor in some sort, just not in front of the board.
Nah, that's totally understandable.
Now, according to the
like,
go ahead.
There are not regulations, I should say, but requirements in the classroom for folks that are out there listening to what the discussion is that we are having. Like, if you are a teacher and you are in the classroom, there are specific requirements that have to be met within your curriculum in order for you to be actually doing your job, which is crazy to me personally, because for the simple fact that teachers are being lost because they're not getting paid enough, but you want them to stick with these requirements, so they're putting them in a box with no tools and saying make it happen, which is kind of crazy in certain areas.
So, according to the Bureau of Labor and Statistics, 4.8 million educators and staff have left the system since the pandemic. That's a lot. Have you seen this impact your district at all?
In my school, I could say, well, in my district, I could say that I know of a few people that have left the school district due to that, but I don't know a lot. So from my perspective, I don't know a lot. I haven't seen a lot of teachers actually leave.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and he's in Charleston. I'm in Fulton County, and I have seen a lot of people leave. So we have so many vacancies to the point where you have like long-term subs at my school, or just in my district in general, which is causing the classroom size itself to be larger. And so you have kids who just kind of, I don't feel like going to class today, so I'm gonna slide into this class. And so it's just very chaotic, if you will.
No control.
Last year when I was a social emotional social worker, I had 8 schools that I had to bounce around from. And one of my schools had gone through 3 principals in one school year. So because they were leaving. They were leaving. Yeah. I mean, listen, they were leaving, and teachers are quitting, deans are quitting, principals are quitting, people are retiring because I guess they're tired, they're burnt out.
I will say though, but like I got some friends as well that are, teachers as well as like administrators in school districts or whatnot. Everybody leaves for different reasons, of course, but I will say like the common theme or denominator that is always pops up is the same thing that most of us deal with in adult life is the salary. Like a lot of people are having, issues as far as like, I'm not saying the work isn't rewarding. It's just that people aren't able to live off what they're getting paid, if that makes sense. So a lot of people are making business decisions based off the fact that they can't continue to work for that pay. And it's kind of interesting too, because a lot of people will say that teachers haven't gotten the pay adjustment that should have taken place a long time ago versus, what it is now. It's the same pay in some areas that has been for 10 plus years, which is insane. And they're trying to up it now to try to get people to stay. But even then, it's like starting to make people wonder if, is it really, a lot of people are asking themselves, is it really worth, trying to stick around, stick it out? But now, like, Dashia just, mentioned that these classroom sizes are another thing that's coming into play. Is that something you've seen as far as like how many kids are being, assigned to one specific teacher?
Yes, now classroom size is a thing that I've seen that there's so many kids in the classroom that the teacher can't really they can't teach because it's all the kids in the class. It may be a handful of kids listening, but it may also be a handful of kids that's just talking and all that stuff. But you can't really police all of it by themselves. So yeah, I've definitely seen that.
Right. And would you say that, are there like assistant teachers in these classrooms anymore? Or has it gotten to the point where it's just one child one teacher in the classroom to try to say manage 25 to 30 kids by themselves?
I'd say most of the classrooms have an assistant teacher, but some of them don't.
But you're elementary level, right?
I'm elementary level. I'm speaking from elementary level.
Yeah. Because I was
even then, back in the day though, like even in elementary specifically, you used to have an assistant teacher, because you got to understand, like, a lot of younger kids are still trying to find their personalities, and they're really like all over the place.
No, I
right.
guess my point was that I feel you see that more so in elementary level, but you don't really see a lot of assistant teachers in middle schools or high schools.
Right.
It's just that one teacher per 20 plus kids at that, or sub plus 20, 20 kids. I mean, we've had in my district, when I say we've had to have regular staff go into classrooms as subs, like guidance counselors, social workers, things like that, because there are so many vacancies. I was in a meeting today for testing.
Yeah.
Like, why, as a school social worker, do I need to be in the classroom during standardized testing? When have y'all ever seen that or heard that?
I don't think I heard
it. So that's my point. Another reason I think that's happening right now with this generation is that the dynamics between teachers, students, and parents, I feel like it looks a lot different than what it did during our childhood, and definitely during our parents' childhood. I'm going to show y'all an example of this.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Oh my God. Put your hands on me. Yes, but you gotta put your hands on me.
All right, I think we got the point of that. So I don't know what led up to that altercation. At the end of it, I do know that the teacher ended up breaking her leg, I want to say. And that was in Atlanta. Not in my district, but it was in Atlanta. So
can you clarify that, please? You said the teacher ended up breaking the child's leg, or the teacher broke her leg?
The teacher's leg ended up being broken. Now, this is just one example of thousands of videos that we see like this pretty much weekly at this point. Who's the problem? Is it the students, the teachers, the parents raising the students?
In my opinion, it's a mixture of every could be a mixture of everybody, but like I said, in that situation, I don't know what led up to that. But I can say it starts at home, and then if the discipline are not getting taught what they need to be taught at home and all that type of stuff, or not when they get called home, are the teachers they're calling home, they're trying to talk to their parents and they're trying to communicate, and it's just not going well, then okay, then that's the parents' fault. And then once you realize it's parents' fault, the child comes to the school. Okay, then now it's on the teacher to try to fill in, to help the student figure out what's going on and teach at the same time. And if the teacher can't handle that, despite because all the kids got different personalities, they're not going to be the same every day. So if you can't really handle a lot of emotions, and then you're going to react off emotion and stuff like that, then that's when it turns into the teacher's fault, because now you're kind of egging on the kid instead of
having some
de-escalate the situation. Yeah, pretty much. So that's how it can turn into it being the teacher's situation. And as far as a kid, I mean, a kid's gonna be a kid, but that can only go but so far once they actually know right from wrong, and then you yourself know that they shouldn't be doing that, despite how they feel, despite whatever may be going on. You can't be getting attitude, hitting teachers, disrupting the class, and all the other type of stuff. But what also goes into play, in my opinion, is like social media and all this stuff, because of course, as you can see, it was recorded, and you know that she's gonna get clout and all the other, and get fame and all the other type of stuff around school. So that's gonna cause kids to kind of do it more and not really think about what they're doing. So I mean, that's how I look at it. It kind of goes with, it could go with all three options. It goes hand in hand.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with it starts at home for 200. The reason I'm gonna say that is this: a lot of these situations that arise, usually, most of the time, don't get me wrong, everybody can't teach, and I'll say that first and foremost. But what I've seen over the years, when it comes to classroom environments or dealing with kids, when it comes from them leaving school and just talking with them, usually when you see them, acting out, it's because they have things that are going on at home, in some form or fashion. Something is going on at home. And like I said, just moments ago, I made the statement, everybody can't teach, because a good teacher will identify that something is wrong off rip 9 times out of 10, but everybody can't do that, which goes back to what we discussed earlier as well. Classrooms may be too big for certain teachers to handle, to the point that they can't identify that in time before it becomes bigger than what they can control. But me personally, I believe it starts at home. I believe something, in my honest opinion, I don't know the situation all the way. Something may have happened at home. The child may have been possibly triggered by something the teacher may have said, or a child may have came to school in a bad mood to begin with. I mean, there's a lot of things. A lot of folks say, "Oh no, she looks." Was this a high school student, I believe, or middle school? High school. Middle/high school. So this is what I'm going to say. A lot of people will try to make it seem as if when it comes to small kids, small kids act out because they lack sleep or several other things. The same can be said for somebody that's in middle school/high school. They're not getting any sleep at home, more than likely. Something is occurring at home in order for them to have a short fuse of some sort to do that. And as well as I say, it starts at home, because if you're not at home learning how to express how you feel, what's wrong, in some form or fashion, in a way that shows that you have some, proper etiquette in a sense, it's like, it's a lot for us to expect from a child to understand if it's something that was never taught. Because 9 times out of 10, they're going to be the ones, they're only going to be acting the way that they've seen things acted out in front of them. That's just very true.
I agree with both of y'all. From my standpoint, I tend to get the child when they are all riled up. Like you see this girl in this video. I get the privilege to get that child passed off to me. Like Ms. Drayton handled that. And to be honest, so even though I work in a middle school, these kids are huge nowadays. Yeah. Like most of the kids that I work with are taller than me, and I'm not short. I'm 5'8". These kids are 5'9", 5'10", girls and boys, to the point where there are adults who are afraid of them because they're huge. Even though they're children, they're huge in size. And like JStan said, they don't have appropriate ways to regulate their emotions. Why?
Because intelligence is lacking. Go ahead, my bad. Go ahead.
Yeah, but they don't have that because they weren't taught that, and their parents don't have it. And so it just continues. It's cyclical. But the thing is like it has to start with the parents, but then also at the school. That's why it's so important for us to have I don't know what South Carolina calls it, but now they require schools to teach social emotional skills, excuse me, for this reason. Because a lot of kids will react like that because you tell them to put up their phone. And I'm just being real. Like I've had so many kids where they'll come in my office and I'm like, so why did you get suspended? Man, because she man, y'all be doing the most. What's doing the most? Yeah, they took my phone. Are you supposed to have your phone out? I mean, no. Is that so? You're not supposed to have your phone out. But then also, like Kendall said, when you're the adult, you're not supposed to match that child. You're supposed to be the thermostat. Okay, you set the temperature of that classroom. You set the temperature of that environment. If that child is coming to you on 10, you don't think, little girl, you don't do all of that. Just say, you know what? Go ahead and go see Miss Drayton. Go see this person or that person, and that's it. Go ahead, Dustin.
That's what I'm saying when I say everybody can't teach, because we've entered the realm where folks will say, I argue with kids. I don't care what age they are. I'm gonna argue with some kids.
That's
crazy. Soon as they say something off the wall, you gonna get this work. You gonna get this work.
Nah, man, you can't be
I'm
doing
gonna tell
that,
you.
man.
But you can't. Hey, I'm just. We know that. But you know, what's the old phrase the folks used to say all the time? Old folks say it all the time. Common sense ain't common. Okay, I'm gonna just say
true.
that.
That is very true.
And also, I want people to understand, like, teachers are humans. Like, we're saying here that, you got to come in every day and you got to come in with this high standard and make sure you are always on your P's and Q's and have patience overflowing, abundant patience. This is not the reality of it. I feel, as me personally, that a lot of these teachers are getting caught when they just don't have abundant patience no more. They're at their wits' end.
And to be honest with y'all, like, there is a term called compassion fatigue. You get to a point where these kids have a lot going on at home. And maybe in August, when school first started, you were that person checking in with little Johnny, seeing how things are going on at home. And is everything okay? Do you have food? Do you have clothes? Let's do some tutoring. And little Johnny his behaviors continue to worsen. You try to call little Johnny's mama, Tasha, she got an issue. She want to argue back and forth with you. You bring her in for meetings, countless meetings, and nothing has changed with little Johnny. By the time we in April, it's time for testing, and little Johnny is still not getting it together. And at this point, now you got 10 little Johnnies in your class.
Right.
And you're tired, and you're tired. Trust me, I have dealt with parents. Listen. I have worked with kids for many, many years, and the hardest part about working with kids are those parents. I've worked in South Carolina, Tennessee, and Georgia, and when I tell you, the parents are the hardest parts about working with kids. Why? Because for some odd reason, they seem to think that some of them, they don't think
that's what they think. They think school is a daycare. They believe school is a daycare. Let me drop my child off. If you can't get my child in order, it's your fault. Don't blame nobody but yourself. And you made them do it. It's not me, it's you.
They don't hold their kids accountable either. I remember having a meeting with a parent. Her child had missed, I think, like 40 days of school. So at this point, she's considered truant, right? And technically, I could file her for truancy court. I tell parents this in August, but for some reason, everybody is always shocked when they get that handy dandy letter from me in the mail saying, hey, I'm about to file you for court. Then they want to come act a fool at the school.
Yeah, they always wait till the last second.
Listen, and when we have these conversations about, well, what are the barriers, they're always pointing the finger at staff. And I promise you, parents out there, this is no shade. I promise you, there's no adult that works with your child that wakes up every morning with your child on their mind.
Nah, for real.
And pick on them, okay? Like, it makes our job easier when your child is fed, they have slept, they are clothed, and they are ready to learn and have a good day. When they come to school and something's not right, that's what makes it more difficult. Go ahead. What you said?
You said bring them kids to school healed. Man, school healed. That's not what happened, though, man. That's not what happened. That's what you want to do.
They don't have to come healed. They're kids. My door is always open. Kids pop in and out of my office all the time, and that's fine. But the thing is, I need to be able to build rapport with your child, and in order for me to do that, I have to be able to build rapport with you.
Right.
If you coming at me with some craziness, it probably won't work. I'll do my job, I'll help you, but that's where that goes. So yeah, I agree with y'all. I think it's a little bit of everybody. I think everybody's burnt out. The adults, the kids. What kind of change do you feel like, or do y'all feel like would the districts would benefit from? And it could be change, meaning adding something or taking something away.
Well, from my perspective, in the schools down here in Charleston, well, for one, it would the district would benefit from having like another teacher in the classroom, but that would also come down to people actually applying and wanting to work, wanting to be a teacher and stuff like that. But also having, in my opinion, more male teachers in the school system as well, because it's a lot of women teachers. I was raised by mostly women teachers. That's what I had enjoyed in my life, and some kids don't really respond well to women, so they'll need like a male figure for it to get through to them and to learn from them. So that may be one thing that could change in this school system particularly.
Why do you think having more men visible in the building would make a difference?
What because pretty much like you said, these kids are big. These kids are they're 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 big. Like, and having more males in there, they'll know that they can't really run over the teachers like that or run over the school, because somebody will be coming in response to that. Not saying that it'll always result into violence or anything like that, but they'll know that they can't just come to school and act crazy, because it's a male figure there that will oppose them. It's someone bigger than them that will oppose them. So that's one reason why.
Huh? Yeah, you're also hitting on a good point here, because the reason why male figures in schools are important, because 9 times out of 10, I wouldn't say 9 times out of 10, that's pretty high. That's like 90%. That's like almost an A. So I'm not even gonna say 9 times out of 10. But most of the time when you talk to a lot of kids, when they do come from a single parent household, the single parent household will be just the mother most of the time. So when they're coming from that single parent household, a father figure essentially is really, non-existent in that household. So sometimes that father figure for the first time, or sense of authority that they'll see for the first time in a school, may be that male figure. And I've seen a lot of cases when me growing up, as well as me knowing people, like some people may have said, like, say an administrator at the school may have been that father figure for a child, because that child may not have, a male figure in their life. I've seen, as far as like custodians that have worked in schools, be father figures to kids as throughout their lives, as they have grown up, and they'll always go back to talk to that custodian, because that person is a staple in their life. Like, it's stuff's really small stuff, but a lot of these male figures in these schools, like the impact that can be made, because like I stated earlier, everybody assumes that everybody's coming from a 2-parent household, but that's not always the case for everybody. But when they are coming from that single parent household, most of the time, I would say they're coming from that single parent household with just their mother instead of just their father. So, yeah, continue. My bad. I just had to say.
Oh no, you're good. I was just curious.
Are you good?
We had Dr. Umar on a few months ago, and he was talking about that, like just having more visibility, but specifically with Black kids, he was saying having them sent to schools that have mostly Black educators and people in the building, which my school, I mean, most of my admin are Black. My principal is a Black man. Our APs are Black women. So yeah. Honestly, I feel like, and this is not just for Atlanta, this is nationwide. I think that our school systems would benefit from funding, but not just direct funding in education. That's needed as well, because in order to have those extra hands on deck, they got to be able to get paid. And right now, a lot of systems don't have the money to pay those extra people, because they don't got enough money to pay the people that they already got. So that's the first thing. But affordable housing. I mean, we have in my district, we have over 1,500 students that are experiencing homelessness right now. I have at least 30 families that I'm working with right now without a home, right? So, and this is happening because of evictions, fires, health issues. Parents can no longer work the same, so they, lose their housing. And then they're looking at the school like, okay, y'all need to help us. And then I have to tell them, like, I'm so sorry, we've exhausted all funds because, again, we have over 1,500 families who are homeless right now. We have a good bit of food pantries, but I feel like that housing component is where it is rough. And I don't know if it's the same in Charleston, but I just feel like since the pandemic, people have really been struggling with that. And if a child is not housed and they're not getting food, the last thing that they are focused on is coming to school, let alone doing well in school. So that's what I would say. Funding for more staff, affordable housing, and then obviously food as well.
Right.
And also, this goes into funding again, but after school programming. Charleston has so much that when I moved out of South Carolina, I did not realize that that was just a Charleston thing. That we had so many after school programming options, because in Tennessee, nothing. In Atlanta, nothing. I mean, it's so hard to find some place for a child to go after school if they're not participating in sports. It's ridiculous. And so it leaves them to go do whatever it is that they do. And 9 times out of 10, it's something that they shouldn't be doing.
Right. I just think they should just what's the best way to say this? If I'm not mistaken, in most places when I was growing up, there was free lunch, but there isn't free lunch in a sense anymore. I believe you got to still pay X amount of dollars, or if you become from a certain household of a certain income, I feel like they need to. There shouldn't be that. It should just be lunch in general. Kids shouldn't have to pay for lunch. That should be built in, because there's a lot of money that's going into the funding of schools and buildings that could be reallocated for kids just to eat, just in general. The fact that kids have to pay for lunch at school is kind of a little taboo to me, because we talk about this all the time. Like, kids are coming from homes or situations that nobody has no idea of, and they're not being able to eat because they don't have lunch money. Or say, for instance, they're coming from a household that says they have enough money, but the money isn't being managed well at home, so they can't eat.
Right.
But nobody wants to talk about these certain issues, that these are very like small but big issues at the same time. Now you're trying to figure out why this child is acting out in school. Small stuff. So it's like really, it's like things that people really need to reevaluate, and it would make everything so much better. It's really the small things that turn into big things. But everybody always acts confused when it's like, why are they doing this? What's wrong? They're starving. They're hungry.
I also wanted to add, like, along with like adding more people on deck in the school itself, like I don't know what it looks like in Charleston, but we need more things in place so that when kids get in trouble, like, so in Atlanta, when a child gets in trouble at school, 9 times, if they're middle and high school, 9 times out of 10, they get sent to an alternative school. That could be for a week, that could be for a month, that could be for an entire school year. And one trend that I've noticed is that I work in the South, so like College Park, East Point, Georgia, right? It's mostly Black and Latino kids. And most of the time that they get in trouble, no one ever says, oh, it's mental health related. Instead, they're like, no, he or she is being bad, send them off to alternative school or expel them, right? Versus up north, Alpharetta, Sandy Springs, places like that, where it's mostly white. First of all, their parents are advocating for them because they feel empowered to do that. And those kids end up getting therapy. They get to stay at the school, talk to the counselor, things like that. And so it just looks a lot different. So I guess what I'm trying to say is I would hope that all parents feel empowered enough to advocate for their kid. when something happens, and that schools, once again, have other options for kids when something takes place in the school. So that they don't have to keep getting sent out of the school. I mean, we talked about that with Freedom School, the school to prison pipeline. That's a real thing. If kids are so used to, I mess up this one time, I get sent off, you're programmed to think that way. Like you don't get to redeem yourself. So, y'all have anything else?
No, man, just stop blaming the kids for everything that takes place. But at the same time, you got to understand everybody's not a good teacher. So, I mean, the system is flawed in itself.
Yeah,
everything needs improvement. So, also, don't believe everything you see on the internet. Let's not jump to conclusions, folks. Let's make sure we get all the facts, please and thank you.
There's always one angle.
And it is, and I know that we're talking about like some of the harder conversations that people like to have, but it is rewarding to work in the school system if you truly want to be there. Like, I call my school East Side Middle all the time. If y'all don't know that reference, it's like the school on Lean on Me.
Yeah. I know definitely.
Listen, because my school, I can't listen. I can write a book of the things that happen at my school daily, but I still love my school and the kids that are there and the staff that are there. And I want to see us improve. I'm not going to jump ship, right? I'm in it and I want to see us do well. And I feel like for those of you who want to pursue education in some form or fashion, please do not let videos like that scare you away. Statistics scare you away, because if you have a true passion for kids and community, we need people like you who want to be there to create, some sort of change. Let us know in the comments, guys. Like, what do you think the districts could benefit from, and who's the problem? Is it the student? Is it the staff? Or is it the parents? Right. And thank you, Kendall, for joining us for this conversation.
It is not a problem at all. Thank y'all for having me.
I have been Dashia D.
And I've been JStan.
Join us every other Friday at noon.
And always remember to like, comment, and subscribe.
All right. Oh, yeah. Before we go, check out our first mukbang. It's on the YouTube page. That's the only place you can find it. And I also have another series coming out. We'll see if it gets released this week. But check out the mukbang. All right.